When you weren't loved properly as a child, it's very, very common to become romantically involved in complicated relationships. You know, on Facebook, it's complicated, where you're longing for something monogamous and committed, and they're just jerking you around. Now, with parents who were self-centered or who put you down, it's no wonder you developed the ability to see great potential in people who are basically broken. And the brutal truth is that every day that you spend pouring your energy and your love into someone who can't really do a relationship with you, you're blocking the possibility of real love coming into your life. So how can you tell if someone is worth working with through tough times and when you're just wasting your time? My letter today is from a woman I'll call Audrey, and she writes, "Dear Anna, I find myself in an awkward situation with a man I met and have been seeing for about 10 months now. I would really appreciate your opinion." All right, I've got my pencil. I'm going to circle things to come back to on a second reading, but let's read through Audrey's letter and see what's going on. She says, "We met, and as time went by, we got very close, and it was a comforting type of relationship, and I felt he was putting in a real effort to message me, to make me feel safe, to meet up, to invite me to parties or dinners with friends, and so on. We got along great, good chemistry and laughs, and could speak for hours on end. He was a gentle and emotional type, a secure attachment type, I think, with controlling but loving parents. He never played games or hot or cold or things I have encountered in the past. I would, however, create distance and space as usual, as I'm afraid to be hurt and to lose my center or feel the spark diminish. I grew up with an emotionally unavailable father and felt unnoticed, not valued, not loved, and was very criticized growing up, which made me very insecure. My mother was loving, overprotective, but depressed and highly anxious, so in a way, possibly unavailable as well. In my relationships, I often obsess and have suffered hugely from limerence and unrequited love. So back to the man. He would very often cry and go into deep depression. I found out months later he never got closure with his ex-girlfriend. He never got closure. They spent 1.5 years together, but she left him 2 years ago. She shut him off and was quite spiteful from what I hear. He would go into phases of calling her, sometimes daily, and would message her dozens of times, so she picks up the phone. She blocked him and unblocks him and has now got a boyfriend. He says he cannot cope with not getting a healthy and friendly goodbye so that he can move on with his life. She made him feel like he was the worst thing on earth and has made so many mistakes, and he can't move on because of this as much as he knows he has to. He feels it has damaged him and his purpose and sense of self and needs a resolve with her. He admits to having thought she was the one he could be with forever, and that although he knows they are not that compatible, he's suffering very deeply about the situation and loss, as it was a negative breakup and he isn't used to having experienced before. He's friends with all his ex-girlfriends and can't accept that she won't allow for communication and loving kindness. She does not want him to call, and yet he keeps on doing it and cries a lot. So the other day I came to his place early, and he was speaking to her, and he asked if he could have 10 more minutes and muted her while he said this. It had taken a long time for him to get her to respond, and also he doesn't want her to know about me, as it would hurt her and give her another reason as to why he's unreliable and unsafe. Oh. I was so upset and told him to tell her that a friend came by and would call her back the next day. He said he could not and needed 10 more minutes. I left and cried, and he called me after 30 minutes and asked where I was and to please come back. I came back and cried, and he was sorry and said he knows he needs to stop and will and knows he must. The scenario happened several times. This scenario happened several times? Several times? I find it hard to stop the relationship, as I know this guy is a good guy, has a good heart, does care for me, but is really damaged by his last relationship. Is it my ego wanting to be number one? Is having accepted this situation for almost a year now completely not normal? I'm confused about my feelings and whether my ego is getting in the way. Should I walk away and make space for someone who chooses me completely? I'm 42. Should I put an ultimatum, or can he have feelings for two people and slowly move away from the situation and heal? He keeps making an effort to keep me in his life, and sometimes I feel angry, while other times I feel sorry for him and have compassion. I don't want to abandon someone I care about in tough times, but I also don't want to continue a situation that hurts me. I'm torn between two conflicting emotions. Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you. All right, Audrey, I can help you. Girl, I think you're in denial big time. This guy is really sick. And he's really not into you, and he is obsessed with somebody else. And, you know, he didn't write to me, so I can't really address what is all that about. But at best, he's very, very neurotic and totally unable to, you know, have a relationship. So when a woman says, stop calling me, I'm in a relationship, you need to stop, and somebody keeps calling, it's called a stalker. It's called a stalker. All right, so he's ruining his relationship with you, and he's ruining his relationship with her, or who knows, you know, now she's getting wound up. But I just want to tell you, like, whatever you got told in whatever circles of people you hang out with, that it's ego to expect your number one to treat you like number one. That's not ego. It's called a relationship. It's called a relationship. And that's not what you have right now. You have something that's babysitting for him. I really don't come down so hard on the people not present, but this is a very awful situation. And I strongly encourage you to see it for what it is, hopeless. You're saying, oh, is it possible somebody could just like really be in love with somebody else and gradually? It's like, well, that is the great hope of sad people everywhere, that even though somebody's treating them badly, and that you went through this scenario several times where this great obsession of his would talk to him on the phone. Do you think for a minute that if she wanted a relationship with him that he would stay with you? I think she's either going to do that or she's going to end up calling the cops on him. This is not a good situation. He sounds very emotionally immature as well as emotionally unavailable. And so here's the thing. My heart goes out to you, Audrey, because you grew up with these horrible parents and you don't know the difference. You actually have gotten so good at crap fitting, at fitting yourself to some crappy half-assed relationship where somebody truly doesn't care about you, cares about somebody else much more, sees you, goes through all the motions. But you told me a couple things. You think he's possibly unavailable. Now, this is where, when I said I think you're deluding yourself, you started out by saying, we get along great, good chemistry and laughs, we can talk for hours, and he's a gentle and emotional type, a secure attachment type, I think. No, not at all. That's not a secure attachment type. That's maybe disorganized attachment. I don't know, but the dude is not attaching. He wants the person he can't have. And I think it's very telling that that ex that he's obsessed with was very bitter when she left, to the point that she wanted nothing to do with him. Pay heed to what this is. Like, that should be a great big red flag. And it would be possible that somebody had once dated somebody who really hates their guts now. And he's got all these, and all his exes are his friends. Honestly, I'm just going to tell you, that is also a red flag. I know a lot of people do that, but you're in your 40s. And I mean, this guy is just like a walking I'm not available sign. He's not available. I think he likes to have a smorgasbord of types of people that he can get energy from as needed, and then he discards. And telling you to leave because he's on the phone with some ex and doing it again and again, that's discarding you. I'm just saying that the reason you're crying is because he's treating you like crap. But because you were, basically brainwashed by your parents to think there's something wrong with you, to expect ordinary treatment, you're just like, is my ego getting in the way? And that is spiritual bypassing. And, the word ego cues me in. This is a certain like philosophy and stuff. Hey, babe, that's just ego. And I don't know, maybe you want to be a polyamorous person where you're the second person in the totem pole, or go down lower should they meet somebody else. Should I walk away and wait for somebody who chooses me completely? Like, I'm just saying, like, don't ask me, like, is that what you want? Do you want somebody who chooses you completely or not? Are you okay with this? It doesn't seem like you're okay with this. So I'm trying to like press you to face that you are acting like you don't know the answer. You do know the answer. If you want to be chosen completely, you got to get people who don't choose you completely out of the way. They're in the way. They're blocking the door. You can't shine. You can't shine when somebody is taking up that boyfriend space. So what you're doing right now, I made a note to myself here about avoidance. I think there's a bit of avoidance on your part going on by kind of staying fuzzy-headed about this. I think this is like a super clear-cut case of somebody who's not available, and that you thinking he's a secure attachment type, and he cries a lot, and there was something about his mom, and I don't know. Yeah, you think he's a good guy with a good heart. I think he's a selfish guy with a very immature mind and heart and emotions. And a guy with a good heart doesn't treat the woman he's dating like he treated you. If you want to get clear about red flags in relationships, I have a PDF download and it's free. Anybody watching, if you want to have a look at it, you can click on the square right there and download it for free. And I will see you very soon.